So you can't pin him down on it, but we can. With the notion of...
You want my love, I want your heart. Just for a minute combine, let me feel it, cause you want my love.
Interesting topic. Hey!
Hi everybody, welcome to Thursday Night Live. Are we peeking?
Did the camera work? Did the camera work? Did it work?
We're sitting there talking doctrine too, can't help it.
Talking...
Happy Thursday.
Yeah.
Happy last Thursday Night
Did the
Live.
sacraments work? Ex opere operato. That's a question.
There we go. History of theology.
Yeah.
And, not just history. I mean, it's present today.
It is. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah. Welcome. This is our like I said, last Thursday Night Live before we're brainstorming podcasts, other things we're going to be doing. But this is our last one, and as we start a new summer and sort of like
new chapter.
Yeah, new chapter.
Yeah, I think so. We started Thursday Night Live as kind of a what would you call it? The subtitle, checking in so you don't check out.
Right.
It was meant. We started it right when we were told. If you remember, last June we had like a brief period of time that we were able to meet again in the sanctuary, and then like boom, we couldn't again. So we started this as a way to like stay connected in a way, and being able to gather in person is making that more and more possible. So it seems like we can branch off into other more edifying,
fun things.
Yeah. Edifying and fun. Do those words, they go together in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, to me they do. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
What is fun should be, I don't know. What's truly fun? Oh, here we go. We can hear ourselves right now. Now they're live. They can actually hear us now.
All right.
Once again.
There's a little bit of a lag.
Yeah, just a reminder. Last time we were on here, we had that with the comments.
Oh, yeah, so we were like 7 minutes behind.
Right.
We were 7 minutes ahead.
I think we're only about a minute or two actually ahead of you guys this week, so bear with us if you guys comment. Please do. Say hi and ask questions if you'd like.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to pull up comments right now.
Okay.
But yeah, Thursday Night Live, right? We started this just to kind of keep us in the know. We were doing it weekly.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It was every Thursday.
Yeah.
Then we moved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we moved to
Can you tell in our voices that, like, oh man, really?
It was a doozy.
Probably more tiring for you than for us.
Right. And so then we moved monthly, and now we're going to bring this chapter to a close and move to something else.
Yeah.
Digitally and.
I think podcast. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we. But we have lots of things to go over for the summer, just different things going on here at Christ Lutheran Church. Just I feel like it's been like the past 3 weeks we've been like, hey, church doesn't go on break.
Right. Yeah, but then we kind of do go on break.
Well, we kind of do, right? Like Sunday
school.
Well,
no, we don't. Sundays don't go on break.
Right.
Which is like kind of I always think that, so Sunday worship in my mind, that is like the DNA, the backbone, whatever you want to call it, the staple of being a church.
If
gathering.
We cannot cut that. Like, that is the one thing we do.
That's what makes a church church.
That's
what makes it. I hate to say it. Actually, no, I don't hate to say it. It just does.
Worship.
Yeah. That's the one thing, if you go back in the history of the church, right? That they've done since the get-go, and other things have come and gone. So it just makes me think of, there was this one time, if you remember last summer, we did like Holy Habits. Sermon series on that. And I remember like the different habits. I've been working on this for a number of years in like the back of my head. Like, what are like habits or spiritual disciplines, another word for it, that actually constitute and cultivate Christ-like character, you could say. Right. And so Christian friendship is one that we had.
Yeah.
That was originally in my mind. I had it as like small groups, small group participation.
Right.
I'm like, wait a second. Mm-hmm. Small groups are like the last like 40 years of the church at most.
Right. Seriously.
It's like if you look at the long history of saints, none of them had a small group. Like, not one.
Right.
But they did have, almost all of them had very rich, open, honest friendships, right? That were edifying. So, anyway, sorry.
But what did they do? They went to worship. They worshiped.
Yeah. Right? But the one thing that like they've always done is like a practice has been that weekly worship. Yeah. And there are things outside of that for sure, but that's the one kind of like.
Right.
Yeah. And in particular, I should say, Eucharistic worship.
Right.
I think it was Pope Benedict referred to the Eucharist or referred to communion as the source and summit of the Christian life. which is accurate.
Right.
It's like, so we gather for communion in particular
Right.
together. That's really the
That's
central.
what you look at, like the early Christians, right? That's like what they gathered to do together,
Every week.
right?
Yeah.
The agape feast, the
Yeah.
love feasts.
Yeah.
Tammy Gabriel gave us just a great word of this has been this is on Facebook for you YouTubers. This has been such a fantastic way to stay in touch. Thank you both. Great job. Thank you, Tammy. You're the best.
Yeah.
We love you. And you've definitely, we know, Tammy, we've had a dedicated group. Tammy's been one of them, I think. People watching every time we jump on here. So thank you to all of you that have.
Yeah.
Kind of diligently.
Yeah.
14.
right.
We always look, right?
What's the saying that Jesus has? Is like, you have been with me through many
I
trials.
got papers this week.
You have been with me through many trials.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, he was writing papers.
Yeah.
Seminary.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
your
my
seminary.
update paper. No, yeah, I am writing a paper right now on the bondage of the will, in case you
Yeah.
want to know any of that. It's super great. I actually would
We'll talk theology later.
Yeah, I would recommend it to anybody. It's been I've never read it before.
Oh,
This
okay.
is my first time reading the bondage of the will,
yeah.
and it's definitely something I'm going to read over and over again. I think.
Bondage of the will.
Luther said that they said you could burn all of his writings except for the bondage of the will and the small catechism.
Mm-hmm.
He said burn everything except for those two things, which is funny because if you study the history, I don't want to get into it, but
Yeah.
you study the history of the bondage of the will, he didn't want to write it.
Yeah.
Like,
he was kind of forced, right?
He was like, he didn't find it worth responding to Erasmus, the guy he's responding to.
Yeah.
He thought the work that Erasmus had written was really sloppy and just
Okay.
like, it's like, it's not
Not
even
worth my time. Yeah.
But it was his wife, Katie,
Yeah.
Katie, right? Who basically said, no, you're responding.
Yeah.
And from what I heard, it was because she was annoyed by like Melanchthon and Bugenhagen, because Melanchthon loved Erasmus.
Okay.
They were like tight.
Yeah, they were kind of like friends.
Yes, and the bondage of the will, like I think, hurt Luther and
Melanchthon.
Yeah,
I
not
didn't know
because of
that.
what he said,
Yeah.
but because of how Luther said it.
Yeah.
Because if you read the bondage of the will, Luther is just borderline mean.
Yeah, he is mean.
Calls
He
him
is-
like stupid.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar, like Erasmus wrote this tract.
Yeah.
Would you call it a tract? Essay.
Yeah, Luther calls it a diatribe.
Diatribe.
A rant.
Right.
Like
on the freedom of the will.
Yes.
That we have free will in order to choose God.
Yes.
Right? And that we can
Yeah.
make ourselves.
Yeah, because of what Christ has done. Like Erasmus wasn't. Like he's like Christ's work has freed our will. And so therefore now as Christians we can choose the good. We can choose God. We can choose His way. And Luther just said, no.
Yeah.
You know, like we are in bondage, and it is only the movement and work of God toward us that allows us to know and experience the good,
Right.
and because of His grace.
Yeah, but and if you think about it logically, if you just think about it in the context of like your own Christian faith, right?
Yeah.
I think of the times at which I have been led by the Lord, free from my own folly, sort of thing, actually walking in the ways of Christ. I wouldn't say like, yeah, it's because I'm choosing it and I'm in.
Right.
No, I'm like, wait a second, something has overtaken me,
Yeah.
and this is not of my own doing.
Right.
Not that my will is against it; my will is fully involved, but it's actually. C.S. Lewis used the language of. He says the appropriate language or appropriate analogy would be falling in love. That it's not against your will, but it's not something like, oh, I'm going to choose to fall in love today. Like, no, it doesn't work that
You
way.
don't choose that way. No.
Yeah, that it actually overcomes you, and so
Right.
the Spirit is Himself God's love, and He needs to overcome you and your
Yep.
resistance. And think about the third article of the small.
Coward.
The third article of the Creed in the Small Catechism, that I cannot come to Jesus or call Him my Lord, but the Spirit has called me.
Yeah.
And anyway.
At the end of Bondage of the Will, there's this great, like, 3-4 paragraphs that really, like, it expounds on that whole third. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
And I circled it, and I'm like, I want to make confirmation students read this section. Because it's great. It really, because it to me, it confronts a lot of, I would say, cheesy modern Christianity, where you have to, like, muster up, like, emotional Christianity, like if I'm not feeling it or whatnot. It's like, it's not about whether you feel it or not. Like, it's about what God is doing and working toward you. So, and that's grace. Like, that's the beauty.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
We're already. We see. This is why we're thinking podcast because this is what we want to talk about.
It'll just be me and Steven in a room with no one watching.
Well, and that's the beautiful thing about that medium is that those that want to, right? So
yeah.
And we're gonna update you in different ways. How we're right now, community updates, things like that, and getting better at doing that.
So I've got. Sorry, this is another random aside, but.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, this is what happens when you try to blow like on your...
A raspberry?
That's is that what they call it? 16-month-old son's belly. Yeah, he just grabs your glasses and pulls them as hard as he can. So I've got tape on my glasses.
That's great. A little Harry Potter action.
I need a new pair. Yeah, right. Anyway, sorry.
All right, so what's coming up here at Christ Lutheran Church?
A lot.
We've got a lot of stuff coming up. Like Pastor Garrett and I said in the beginning, it doesn't go on break. Like Sundays... There's no breaks.
Yeah.
Every Sunday.
Yeah, every Sunday.
We'll get to what we're going to be talking about or what sermons.
Ordinary Time in our sermon series that'll go, actually, it'll be probably the longest sermon series that I've ever done here.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be the longest one ever done here because I think the
Great Big God Story.
Like the whole
I wasn't
biblical
here
narrative.
For that.
That was a full year, am I right?
I think so. That? Pastor Joe and Pastor Mike, I think that was a whole year. They did, I think, January up till like...
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it won't be that long. This one will just be ordinary
Summer.
time. So it'll be summer. It'll extend all the way up until Christ the King Sunday, which is...
So not just summer. It'll be like summer and fall.
Summer and fall, really, because Christ the King Sunday is right before Advent, which is right around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We have a short little break in there for Reformation Sunday and All Saints Sunday, last week of October, first week of November. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so we're going to be digging into Mark, but we can get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. As we always do.
So I know the high school trip.
Yeah, so first up is just coming right away. We have our high school ministry, our high school summer trip, June 6th through the 12th.
That's this Sunday. What's funny is, so right before I came here, I went on a run around my house, and there were a bunch of, I guess Saugus's graduation, I would suppose, is today.
Oh, okay.
Because there were a bunch of kids actually in...
gowns.
Yeah, the graduation gowns, taking photos out front. I was like, oh my goodness, Saugus graduation is today, and then some of those kids will on Sunday
be going up to Lake Hume.
Yeah.
For a whole week of it's super. I've never been. Pastor Garrett, you did.
I did. I kind of shared the.
You said that in the beginning of the service.
Yeah, at the beginning of the service, I shared that I love that place because I came to faith there. I went there. I got invited by a family friend when I was 17. It was between my junior and senior of high school. Mm-hmm. And it was Francis Jan was the speaker that week, and he was like a no-name pastor at that point. Now he's like this big deal.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he was instrumental. His messaging was instrumental in
trying not to be a big deal. It seems like, right?
Yeah, right. He does not want to be a big deal. He every time he becomes a big deal, he leaves the country. He's like, I'm out of here. I don't want this. Like,
It's kind of that's why I like him, right?
I think his saying of why so Cornerstone in Simi Valley was the church that he founded and then became very big. And then he left it out of nowhere, right? And he's like, I remember him giving a talk on this. He said the reason he left was if Jesus started a church in Simi Valley, the church of Francis Chan would be bigger. And he's like, it was horrible. People were more talking about Francis Chan than they were about Jesus Christ. He's like, I just had to leave.
Interesting.
He's like, it wasn't right.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. It's like, anyway, I think it makes me think of like Peter when they're like, Peter's giving a message. I think it's Peter and Apollos, and they like bow down. They're like, the voice of God's and not of men.
Yep.
And he's like, Peter's like, whoa, like, what are you doing? Like, we are mortals just like you. Anyway, so he was. So that was at Hume.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful week.
When was that? Junior going into senior?
Yeah, it would have been the year of 2000. So 21 years ago. Yeah. And they have like the kind of structure of the week, right? You go up there. Get there on a Sunday, but they do evening chapel time on Sunday evening. Beautiful. And then every day they're on out. It's morning and evening chapel time with great preaching and teaching, great worship life. I think we were talking about this of like gathering in a room of like 500 other Christian kids at this point for high schoolers is just there's something really encouraging about it. And compelling that like you're part of something that's not just you and Jesus, right? As important as that personal relationship is, it's also a corporate thing that you're part of that is encouraging. So, morning and evening, and then they have a good, fun like rec time, a recreation time that gets a little wild. So I don't think I've shown the kids like the videos of the rec time.
Yeah, but no, it's crazy. I've seen videos and stuff, and like nuts. Very different than like my camp, like Camp Arcadia is. Way more low key in a sense.
Okay.
When it comes, but it's so fun. Like, because it's just amazing, but
yeah,
Lake Hume, it's like a whole nother level.
It's actually very aggressive. I will call it.
They have like a blob and everything.
You've got a blob.
Yeah.
The big game up there is they call it Kajabi Can, I think is what they call it.
Okay.
So what you do, sorry, we're way off on top, but
no, high school summer trip.
Like little short ropes,
Yeah.
right? That everyone holds in a big circle.
Yeah.
A trash can in the middle, just one trash can, on a field of mud.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the way you get out, the way you get out,
Yeah.
you'll get out if you let go of your rope, or if it gets pulled out of your hand,
Okay.
or if you get pulled into the trash can. So
you're like
and
slipping
you're in the
and
mud.
sliding
Oh
and
yeah.
muddy
And people are like, they'll get pulled up to the trash can, and instead of like getting pulled into it, they'll dive over it, like holding onto the rope. It's crazy. It's yeah. So
That's super
it'll
awesome.
be fun. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think there's some severe medical release forms that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Bringing the insurance card and everything.
Anyway.
Oh, Nanook says hello. Nanook, hi man.
Hey, Nanook.
That's good. Another faithful Thursday night liver.
That's fun.
Awesome, dude. We miss you, buddy. Hope to see you soon.
Future producer of the podcast.
Yeah, I think so. Oh my gosh, that'd be so fun to have Nanook in there. Nanook. So yeah, high school summer trip.
Yeah, it's coming up. So they leave Sunday, they come back Saturday. Please
Yeah.
pray for them. It'll be a beautiful week.
Be praying
and,
for him there, and Dana and Chris.
Dana's leading that up there, and
Yeah.
Chris Myers joining as a parent chaperone. And,
So pray for them.
yeah.
As well. Been on weeks with just high school kids, the adults. We need lots of prayers.
Yeah.
We have, so that's high school summer trip. That's the most immediate thing. I have June 15th as a big date here just in California, and masks.
Oh, yeah. I'm
That's
like,
coming
June
up.
15th? What are you talking about?
Yeah, the masks.
Yeah, the masks are,
Mandate.
and I think that's a Monday.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that?
I think so. Oh, I didn't look up the day itself.
3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 13th, 14th. It's a Tuesday, sorry. But either way, so if it's a Tuesday, that means that June 20th in worship,
Yep.
master optional.
Yep. So that's a big day. That'll be great to see your faces and
Yeah.
smile.
Yeah, it's always fun when
Yay.
you're like up front and I look at you all.
Oh my gosh.
And you're all masked while like you're giving a message, and I'm like,
That really freaked me out. Like
yeah,
I was thinking about it. 8:30
Mhm.
this past preaching this.
Yeah.
That was like it was
in your
just-
head.
Yeah, because you're up there. Like we're trying to read you kind of at times.
Yeah,
I'm
because
like,
preaching, I know it sounds like a soliloquy, right? We're just
Yeah.
kind of speaking into thin air, but we're not. Like we really want to be engaged with.
yeah, we want you to.
Yeah, and if we also know if you're disengaged, something's
Yeah.
not landing right. It's like, this isn't making sense,
Right.
or
And
like
the masks have just made that so hard to do.
Yeah.
I think, and so, I don't think there's any shame in saying that, because I always think preaching is, even though it's like our voices, like it is worship in and of itself. It's like participatory.
It is.
And even the sermon is participatory in the
Yeah.
sense that you're receiving, hearing the message, and so.
Yeah, the sermon is not a non-liturgical piece. There's a certain interaction that is meant
Yeah.
to take place. And
Yeah.
Anyway.
So no masks, June 15th. Woo!
Yeah.
Immediately, so that's on a Tuesday. So then on June 16th, the Wittenberg group, I was talking to Felicity this morning, right?
Yeah,
and she
yeah.
kind of gave me some things that are coming up this Sunday. The Wittenberg group is going to be showing the Luther movie here in the Fellowship Center. They meet on Wednesday night, so it's on a Wednesday night. And so they're going to be showing the Luther movie.
Yeah. So the Wittenberg group.
Yep.
You wanna...
Wittenberg group has been a long-standing group led by Felicity Grover here. Meets on Wednesday nights, and they kind of, through different seasons, she chooses different topics based off of the Lutheran tradition and Lutheran doctrine, studying the confessions, the different texts that come out of there, the Augsburg Confession, the catechisms, the articles. And
small catechism.
Yeah, the small catechism.
Maybe they'll read the Bondage of the Will.
Yeah, maybe they will. I don't know. I was talking to her this morning about it. Yeah, and so and it's been a fun season for them too, because we've had some people coming from different traditions and Presbyterian, Methodist, things like that.
Yeah, a number of our recent new members were from a Presbyterian church, and so that background or getting kind of a Lutheran teaching is really helpful.
Yeah.
So if you're more interested in Lutheranism.
Yeah, and so an easy entry, I guess, maybe you could watch the Luther movie with them on Wednesday night, June 16th. It won't be dinner, but she did mention some snacks, I think, and things like that.
Okay.
So
Cool.
then we've got one of the most exciting weeks here at Christ Lutheran every year, Vacation Bible School.
Yeah.
June 20th through the 24th.
Yeah. Which is a Sunday. It starts on a Sunday this year.
Yeah, so when you show up on the 20th,
and it's
worship,
Father's Day.
Yeah, and it's Father's Day.
Mm-hmm.
In the community updates, I said, when you show up on the 20th, things might look a little rocky. Because the theme is Rocky Railway. So don't freak out. Like, it'll be VBS'd and a little bit around campus. And don't freak out, but get excited. Mm-hmm. And there's still some room there for you to register if you have kids that would like to be a part of that. I think the link is clcscv.org/VBS2021.
Okay.
So you can register on our website. It's super fun.
So last year VBS was online.
Oh my gosh.
Which meant our campus. I just remember sitting here and being like, this is VBS week, and here we are. It's quiet.
For you.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, you were in video land of like
oh my gosh.
Video production of.
I was editing like 10 hours a day. The 3 weeks leading up to that and everything, we were just going.
You were the digital ministry director before it was official.
Yeah, it was super fun. And all that stuff is still up on YouTube too. If you don't want to do the in-person thing, you could go back last year.
Yeah, you certainly could.
And do the online VBS. Our family ministry YouTube channel is still up. I'm going to pull that down eventually and kind of move things over to our main channel. And I think I've been working on trying to cut together like a recap of that week of just because even though we were in quarantine and we couldn't really like pull in a bunch of people, we did. We had people filming at home. Awesome snack videos and activities. That was for as stressful as that was. It was. I'm like really. I don't know. It was cool to be a part of that. So and those stupid puppets. That was hilarious.
Like Buzz.
Yeah, Buzz.
I like how Buzz came back at Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
it was like Buzz and Honey Bear.
Honey Bear. Oh.
Which are great. Buzz is like this chipper.
Yeah.
And then Honey Bear is just kind of this grumpy, like, leave me alone.
Shannon Kemp is just...
And a bee and a thing of honey is just perfect,
Shannon Kemp is a whiz when it comes to those voices and being able to just animate those puppets. And all the people that are involved with that last year, thank you so much. Tammy Gabriel, Mike Gabriel, the bee logo, and Herb Moore did some art for us as well. It was just a great week. And then, so the 24th was when VBS ends, and then on the 26th, that Saturday, we are going to be having a campus work day.
That's right.
And so, what is that? We have a few projects just around campus that, like, over the course of the year, things that haven't gotten done.
Right.
Cleaning up some ivy, some stuff in the youth center.
So the way this started, we were discussing this at staff, it started as like a single project, right?
Yep, one project.
Of like, there was kind of a hole in the youth center wall that got kicked through.
Yep, I know who it was too. There was 3 holes from the same 2 boys that have graduated.
Yeah, all right. Hopefully they're going to Hume.
No, they've graduated.
They're
they're kicking walls in college right now.
All right, good deal.
Well, one's in the military.
All right.
He's getting kicked into a wall.
Yeah, right. So that like it got what would you call it? Like plastered over.
Yeah. Done
Vulich. Yeah, so we needed it painted, and then we started talking about baseboards.
Yeah.
Then we started about ivy removal on the preschool because like it's discoloring the walls and repainting that, and all of a sudden we're like, wait a second, we've got a ton of projects. Yeah. So it just turned into like
campus work day. Let's call out to the congregation. Yeah. So what does that mean? We're looking for volunteers to help out with these different projects. So we'll start at 9 a.m. on that Saturday morning. We'll have lunch. Yeah. And it will just be that morning. That's what we've blocked it out.
Yeah, 9 to noon.
9 to noon, and we'll provide lunch for you. Yeah. You can sign up to help us out. The link is clcscv.org/workday. There you go. So if you go there, there's a link. And if you're looking to talk to somebody in particular about it, it would be Terry Gaudioso. Mm-hmm. And her email is on that webpage as well. So you could just drop her an email and ask her your question. I think it'll be fun. Like, go on mission trips with the youth like every 4 years. Work is fun when you're with the people you love, and we'll play some music. And it'll be a good day. Good morning.
We were talking about like R&R being able to kind of teach especially those like some of our high school guys can do some of that physical labor.
We'll have some R&R folks there to help kind of show us the way and guide all of us, because they,
yeah,
not just the youth, but even me and everybody here, like
I'm not Andy.
They know, yeah, right. They know how to take care of this campus. They've been doing it for how long now? It's been awesome. So Campus Work Day, I think we should do this annually. I mean, there's always projects for us to do.
Yeah,
and I'm sure there's plenty of people that would love to help out that way. Okay, and then another plug for Felicity. When we were talking this morning, she runs a Thursday morning Bible study that starts at 9:30 a.m. And they're going to be running all through the summer. And they've been working through the book of Luke, but starting July 15th, my niece's birthday, starting July 15th, they'll be beginning a series and study on effective prayer, on prayer. It's a book study. And so if that's something that interests you, or you're looking to dig into your prayer life, and you have that Thursday morning open in the summer, I'm in there setting up. They've been doing Zoom kind of too, and hybrid sort of group, and it's a fun group. They're funny and just really open, and would love to have people join them and things like that. So
thinking about prayer, right? That I don't know. It seems to me maybe this is just me. I don't think it is though. I think the idea of having a rich prayer life is very attractive, but nonetheless, and I think most Christians would say the same thing, am a bad prayer.
Right.
And I don't mean like bad prayer, like when I pray in public, I stumble over myself, which I do. But more so, I'm just saying, even in private, like it's pretty weak. It's like, it seems like it ought to be more fervent and rich. And I know the riches of it theoretically, and I've experienced it at.
Right, it's the Holy Spirit praying in us.
Yeah.
And like we can understand the depth of prayer and the practice of it, and the efficacious act of it, I guess. But I'm with you, right?
Yeah.
Like, or even just maybe a bad prayer in the sense of like bad with my rhythm of it. It's like,
right. That's what I kind of mean.
It's like, oh, I should pray.
Yeah.
Or I try and set out certain modes or models for me to like with the confirmands when we were talking about prayer. I talk about habit stacking, which is like a secular topic that people talk about, but like you can totally bring that into your prayer life, right?
What's funny is I think a lot of the secular thinkers, they stole it from the monks.
Yeah,
they did. Like Chris's work, they sent her a book called Live Like a Monk. It was about how to cultivate a life built on healthy habits, and I was like, "Come on, you're obviously still living with the monks. Like, how do you just?"
They want the riches without the foundation and the fountain of God's outpouring love. Which is weird. Why wouldn't you want that?
Yeah, I just want the habits. Like I think Jack Dorsey, who's the CEO of Twitter, right? He has this very regimented. It's very monk-like.
Yeah.
And by regimented, I don't mean. I think we have a bad connotation of regimented, but just a very serious discipline about the way that he lives his life. But what's it oriented towards?
They all do like that.
Yeah, anyone who's super successful, right?
Steve Jobs, why did he wear the same thing every day?
Yeah, so he didn't have to make decisions. He could make major decisions on things that mattered to him.
When he got to work.
Black turtleneck today.
Eat the same thing. Warren Buffett eats the same burger or whatever every day. But what's it oriented towards?
Yeah, so it's oriented towards material success. Yeah. Whereas the monks, at least the ones who are, I would say that just the monks. I don't have to put a caveat on it.
Distinction.
Yeah, but the monk's orientation is towards the kingdom of heaven. That their whole goal is to reach union with God, right?
Right.
And so they orient their habits according to that goal.
Right.
And so you can see, right? People have certain goals and they orient their habits accordingly. It's just you might have the wrong goal, right? Maybe you've oriented your life towards something that's fleeting. You get to your you get to the end, it's just
right. You can't.
All
take
it was
it with
the
you.
CEO of Twitter, and even that is not going to matter.
Please. Denzel Washington is the person I heard say it first. It's probably old adage, but you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse.
Oh yeah, right.
It's at the end of your life. Oh great. Yeah. We'll remember you as this Twitter CEO.
Yeah. I think it was Rick Warren who said there was a day when I think it was when he was in college or after college, he came home and sticking out of the trash was at the curb, and kind of sticking out of the trash were all of his childhood trophies. And he was like, "Mom, how could you do that?" And he came to the realization that someday all your trophies are going to get thrown out.
Right. Well,
it's just going to happen.
If Mom didn't do it, he would have done it.
Right.
Eventually.
Your accomplishments mean precious little in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. It's like good to be oriented towards like worldly success for the good of other things. But anyway,
it just reminds me of a chapel when I was in high school. The pastor that preached during that chapel, he brought a trophy. It was a big trophy.
Yeah.
He was talking about how he won this thing. And and at the end of it, basically, he took out a baseball bat and just in front of it, just like, whoa!
That made an impression.
Yeah, I don't remember what the point was. I guess I could
surmise.
Get to it. But I remember that. I was like, whoa! So effective prayer, orienting and directing.
Yeah, prayer does have a way of orienting us towards the things that matter.
Right. Absolutely.
It does, and
yeah.
Yeah. So habits, right? Of like that. You're talking about habit stacking. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're talking
but
about with the kids. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like build a prayer rhythm. It's like what habits do you have already?
Yeah.
You stack prayer right on top of that.
Yeah.
Because you already have built a habit.
Yeah, and make the association.
Make the association and cultivate a prayer habit.
Yeah.
With it.
That reminds me of a regular habit I have that got built into me as a little kid is I eat breakfast the second I get up in the morning. It's just my mom
good.
Always, we would get up, you'd have a bowl of cereal down at the table. It's just like boom, you go. And so when I was in college, I remember I had a roommate who said, like if you eat breakfast every morning, feed on the Word of God every morning. It was just like a read the Bible as you.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking. That habit has never gone away, if only because my breakfast habit has never gone away.
Breakfast has never.
So like every time I eat, it's just natural for me to open up and read. Anyway,
habit. That's a great example of habit stacking.
Yeah.
For prayer, at least, right?
I was wrestling with something just recently, and Christy was like, "Have you prayed about that?" And I'm like,
"That's what my mom always says to me."
It never even occurred to me, actually. I'm embarrassed to say it. Like, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I did a while ago.
Right. Like 3 years ago.
Right. So that's July 15th, Effective Prayer Thursday mornings. If you are interested in that, I highly encourage you to jump in.
Yeah.
Then we have a big celebration, kind of right in the middle of the summer. Big deal. July 18th.
Yeah.
Save the date. Mark it down. That's a Sunday. Pastor Joe and Barbie will be back in town.
They will be, and actually at worship at both services.
And at worship, and then after worship, we're gonna have a lunch party with them and just be able to hang out and just in fellowship with Pastor Joe and Barbie. It's been more than a year now since Pastor Joe is retired and moved up to Washington, and so this will be his first time back.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he'll be doing a wedding prior to that, so don't blow his phone up like begging for his time or anything.
Yeah, right,
but that Sunday morning, we will be worshiping with him and then having lunch with him and Barbie. Yeah. And
think about like I was just talking to Lydia about this recently in the office that like almost 20 years. Am I right in thinking that? Is it 18 years he was the senior pastor at Christ Lutheran Church?
Was it? I thought it was 25. I don't know.
Was it really? Okay.
I thought it was a while. Yeah.
Long way either way, right?
Maybe no, you might be right.
But the fact that the way it came to a close didn't bring
his last
closure.
Sermon was from Seattle.
From Seattle into a camera. That's not right, and like just being able to actually interact and say bye and not just bye but also thank you is hugely important. So, I think that'll help for everyone, for all of us.
Right.
Yeah. Pastor Joe was my pastor at a particular point.
We were talking about that yesterday. We both were like, Pastor Joe was a mentor to both of us. At different
stages of our lives.
So it's just it's going to be a great weekend, a great Sunday.
And will probably be funny.
Funny?
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be hilarious. It's Pastor Joe.
If you really want to make it funny, we'll bring Pastor Mike back for like old Laurel and Hardy.
Oh my gosh, that'd be hilarious. We have to get a weekend where they both come back.
Yeah.
That'd be just awesome.
So Christy and I had dinner or lunch with them. That one we were all together. It was you, me, Christy, Pastor Mike, Pastor Joe. When we came out for a weekend visit, right? This is before we ever came out here.
Yeah, I remember that. We went to Lazy Dog?
We went to BJ's.
BJ's.
Okay. Or is it still BJ's?
I don't know.
Anyway, I think it was BJ's.
Really haven't been over there.
Ate a Pizookie, whatever.
Yeah, we did eat a Pizookie.
But I remember when we left, we're like, oh my goodness, I've never laughed so hard in such a long time.
Right.
So one thing we were talking about at lunch, we were just talking about this recently, in fact. We were talking about the straws. And Pastor Joe was like, "Give me the plastic straws. I don't want the. Give me the plastic." He's like insistent on the plastic. He's like, "I wanted to." I think he was like joking around. He wanted to destroy the environment.
Yeah.
And Christy asked both of them. She's like, "I mean, do any of these laws make anything better?" And Pastor Mike's line, we were laughing at the other day. He goes, "Oh yeah, it's a veritable utopia."
Right, a
veritable utopia.
Yes. That's a setup for Pastor Mike. That's just a T, and he's
right.
Anything about laws in California, he will just smack it out.
He did hit it.
Yes. So July 18th, write it on your calendar, put it in the phone, like right now. Remind yourself, because that's going to be just an awesome Sunday.
Yeah, it will be.
And that's up until July. Then in August we'll have Sunday school returning and Impact returning. And Impact, go back. Impact is not for high school students. They're going on their high school summer trip.
Right.
But there's going to be different events and things going throughout
like off campus.
Yes.
Like social.
Yeah, like this past Tuesday, they had a small little scavenger hunt throughout the town. And so there's going to be different things like that. But Impact, sort of Tuesday night in the youth center, teaching and worship type of stuff, that will return again in August. But through the summer, there's plenty of just great opportunities for high school students to get plugged in.
It's amazing to me that the schools actually, so we're starting back in August, right? Because that's the school schedule.
Yeah.
And I look at them like, oh man, you guys start really early.
Right.
I just remember when I went to school here, I felt like we started maybe right after Labor Day.
I was going to say, back in Michigan, the schools come back after Labor Day.
Yeah.
But I went to a private school, so we'd start like 2 weeks beforehand, because we didn't have to follow that law or whatever.
Yeah.
But it
just seems
we'd also
early.
get like 2 or 3 more extra snow days or something.
Yeah.
But we also had like extra holidays because of the church, because it was a Christian school.
Oh, that makes sense.
So we kind of started a little early. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, schools will start typically kind of around Labor Day, but here we're mid-August,
It's
sort of,
hot
or
in
mid-early
August.
August it starts. So yeah. So Impact Sunday School
all picks back up.
Yeah, Wednesday nights will return after Labor Day, kind of on the Wednesday after Labor Day. I don't exactly know what date that is, but that's sort of the
full return of midweek ministries.
Yeah, midweek ministries.
Yeah.
But this isn't summer related, but I'm just going to plug it anyways, because we have a family retreat. Our family retreat is coming back. It was, I think, maybe the 3rd or 4th now. That was a part of my internship.
Yeah.
I didn't do
You were
anything.
like the retreat leader, right?
No,
you taught?
no. Sarah, I did,
Yeah.
but like for a little bit. But really, the work.
Yeah.
All I did was send an email and letter out to a few people, and like Sarah Scopio or Kirsten, and they just took. They hit it out of the park and did it, and have been keeping it going. So that's coming back this year. They couldn't obviously go last year, but September 17th through the 19th, you can register for that today. And
I think Christy and I are going up on one of the nights at least.
Okay.
If not 2, but if we can make it.
It's a fun weekend.
Yeah.
They have a blast. It's Ventura KOA, so it's real, it's 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
It's not really in Ventura. It's right, sort of like when you get between Ventura and Santa Paula, you come off the 126 and you go up into some hills, and it's a really cool, neat area. And they've got lots of activities, rock wall, rocket building for you. And
that's wild.
And if you're not a tent camp, it's a camping retreat, but it isn't really too, because if you're not a tent camper or you don't have an RV,
they have like teepees as one of the options too.
Teepees, which is like the mid-level option, but then they have like full-on really
like
nice
glamping sort of stuff.
They have nice
cabins.
cabins. And they have like 2 or 3. I think they have 2 tiers of cabins too. And I've been in those things, and it's like, I love tent camping. Yeah, it's the only way to camp in my opinion. But the cabins are awesome, and so whoever you are, whether it's tent or not, you should sign up, because it's a great weekend of fellowship and growth as families. And there's some child care opportunities, I think, usually like an hour or 2, where adults kind of do one thing and kids do another. And so it's a good weekend. Go ahead and sign up. I think the link to that is clcscv.org/family retreat.
All right.
There you go. So
that'll be fun to see, because last year it didn't happen.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
And
I can't. I'm gonna go up at least a little bit to get some
footage
and get some good photos and things like that, and partially also because it's awesome. It's a fun weekend with those guys.
I've already heard like so many stories.
There is. They always come back and they have stories, and it's
legendary stories. And I'm like,
there you go. Make some memories with
all
your
of
church
which are
family.
kind of funny.
Yeah. And there you go. That is sort of that is only a top overview of kind of what's going on.
Yeah.
Of course, there's going to be little things sprinkled throughout of different opportunities that we'll update you with weekly.
Yeah.
In worship and on social media, website, email.
Yeah.
But there you go. High school summer trip, no mask, Luther movie, VBS, campus workday, effective prayer, Pastor Joe and Barbie. Return to our midweek ministries and our family retreats.
Yeah.
And then we're in Christmas. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. Let's talk Christmas.
No, yeah. Oh, man. And so I guess that brings us to, want to talk about Mark?
Oh, man, Mark. Yeah. We're going to sit with Mark for...
We're going to be sitting with a whole book.
A long time, yeah.
Yeah.
I was laughing because I was thinking about it. So we're in Mark from this Sunday all the way through up until Christ the King Sunday in November. And I was like, that's a long time. And then I thought about it. So I watch like live streams of other churches. I've mentioned this to you before. But, I'll watch a lot of like Grace Baptist services.
Yeah.
And from well before I got here, apparently, but definitely since I got here over a year ago, they've been in 1 Corinthians.
Yeah.
Yes. For a long time.
Yeah, so
just like
we're just gonna do Mark.
They're moving very slowly. I think it's like 2 verses a week.
I guess I should note that real quick too. Like for those of you who we made a change this last weekend with our live stream. We're not live streaming our services anymore.
Yeah.
Or our service.
Yeah.
But instead we're just
pre-recorded.
a recording of the sermon from each Sunday.
Yeah.
With an online lector as well, which if you saw this past weekend's sermon, Sarah Scopio, she's going to be doing the next 5, and it's like listening to an audio Bible. It's really awesome.
It's well done.
That's not canned or anything. That was recorded in-house, and it was really cool, and Sarah is awesome. So it's our Sunday sermon online will be available at 5 p.m. from here on out each Sunday.
Let us know your thoughts too.
Yeah,
we're doing this as a summer experiment, right? Is what we called it, just to see if we could make the online offering, or what would you call it, online resource. If we can make it more engaging for an online audience. We started watching the live stream when we transitioned to in-person worship, and it was just, it's almost hard to stay engaged with because clearly everything is oriented towards the people who are there. And so can we also create something that is oriented towards the person who is watching online? And so we thought the best way to do that is to do it separate from.
Right.
So it's just, and it's brief too, because the point of our online offering or online resource is not to replace Sunday service, but rather to supplement.
Yeah.
And to supplement for those of you who are members, and then also to be a good kind of first step for those who are not members and are not engaged with our ministry. But kind of want to know what our messaging is and what
who we are,
and that gives a good feel for it with a relatively tight time commitment, right? Of 30 minutes max.
Yep. And when we look at numbers and we look at what people are looking at,
we know what you do on there.
Yeah, and so it's like most
click
people
in for the reading, click out at the end of the sermon.
Yeah, and so it's like let's focus in on that, and so it's the sermon is Pastor Garrett, or like this weekend it was me, and it's just into the camera to you. And so we do want your feedback though, so let us know how that's going. And for music, in a sense, we actually we're planning some different content, if you will, just kind of right, like so we're getting the Sunday sermon out there where it's like people get a feel of our messaging and who we are as a church through the sermon, and so we've kind of scheduled some things for the music as well, to kind of create some videos that are geared toward you online, and that will come out later in the summer, and so we'll be looking forward to your feedback as well on that. Just because, as Pastor Garrett said, right, it's not to replace Sunday morning in-person worship. We kind of are like, that is the church. It's incarnational. It's bodily.
To be the church is an in-person gathering. It just is. It's the nature of the church. I know people talk about like online churches. It's like, it's not the church. I don't mean to make a harsh judgment, but it's just like ecclesiology in their own view of what the church is. But it's the church is inherently bodily, right? Yeah. The gathering is inherently bodily. Right. Now that we're able to do that within reasonable Anyway,
so
we want those things to be resources.
Granted, if there's ever another pandemic and we have to
we're prepared.
We'll live stream and we'll go back.
Another pandemic.
Yeah, who knows? Or whatever the other thing is that we don't see down the future.
Alien invasion.
I guess.
I feel like is next.
World War IV or 3. We haven't had 3
comes
yet.
before 4.
3 comes before 4.
We might have both. I don't know.
Seminarians, we don't do math. God is 3 in 1. I should not make that joke, especially after this last Sunday.
Yeah,
But yeah, so check that out. Let us know how you feel. You can find that on YouTube, on Facebook, as well as basically anywhere you get a podcast as well. I haven't not pushed that really.
Yeah,
but you can.
But the sermons are available
on Spotify, on Apple, on Stitcher, on there's 4 others that I've never even heard of that
they're on.
Yeah, basically it goes out to a bunch of different platforms. So, basically where you listen to podcasts, if you do, you can also listen to our sermons.
Yeah.
We do have the Metlins plugging VBS. They love VBS. We love VBS. We're right with you.
Yeah, that's fun.
And Nanook says he's trying to get better and get back to us, so that's great.
Yeah, I saw that.
But yeah, let's go back to Mark.
Yeah, so Mark.
So there's other churches that have done. I know one church that has spent 2 years in Revelation. So.
Oh wow.
So
that's bold.
4 or 5 months in.
Prepping for the end times, apparently.
I guess so, man.
Which isn't a bad thing per se.
Yeah, well, aren't we all?
Yeah,
right.
Right.
Cramming for the final exam.
Yeah.
But
there will be an end.
Right.
This life doesn't go on forever.
Yeah. So we have the Gospel of Mark.
Yeah, we got Mark.
What is? Can you?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm just right. So we're ending into ordinary time, which your introduction to ordinary time this past week was great.
Okay, good.
It was so helpful in terms of if you haven't watched the Sunday sermon, watch it. Steven gave a really good introduction to jumping into the liturgical calendar in particular, kind of viewing it as formative of faith, right? You
talking about habits.
Yeah. And so we're heading into ordinary time, which sounds like boring or normal time, but it's I was even reading more about this morning. It's ordinalis is the official Latin word, right? But it has to do with rhythms. And so during that time of cultivating holy rhythms, you could say, not healthy. People talk about cultivating healthy rhythms, but it's holy rhythms, things that sanctify you, draw you near to the Lord. And so part of that, you'll notice during ordinary time, we always dive into the teachings and works of Christ.
Yeah,
is what ordinary time really focuses on. So Advent is about preparing for the coming of Christ. Lent is about repentance and preparing for death and resurrection. And but ordinary time, so those are kind of the major festival seasons. But ordinary time is about honing in on the teachings and the works of Christ. And so you do that by going through the Gospels.
You said, I remember, what was it? You said even Christ, he says, right, when the Spirit comes, he will lead you into truth.
That's why it's so perfect that it comes right after Pentecost, right? It's people thought a long, hard time about this in the church. How do we structure our worship life so that it's genuinely helpful to people's faith, right? And so Pentecost, one of the things that Christ says about the Spirit is he will lead you into all truth, and he says elsewhere that my word is truth,
right.
Or your word, meaning God the Father, your word is truth. So it'll lead you into the truth of Scripture, and then he'll remind you of everything I have said, is what he says. So it's just calling to memory, and that's what we're doing essentially post Pentecost. The coming of the Spirit at Pentecost, and the work of the Spirit is to lead us deeper into the truth about who God is and what he does, right? And so we'll be looking at that over the course of summer. All the teachings and the works of Christ, the life of Christ, you could say, is what the Gospels are.
Right. And that's what the calendar is. That's kind of the point.
Yeah, the whole calendar.
And then the Trinity
tells the story of Christ.
The second person of the Trinity in union with him. That's the triune life. So it's that's the point. Is we're being formed and shaped into that.
We
are. It all leads back. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the first iteration of Mark, right?
Yeah.
It starts off.
This is what launched our pre-conversation when we were talking about
the first part of Mark. And it's funny because I think about my own. It's baptism, and it's in particular it's John the Baptist. It starts off with before Jesus even is on the scene, right? It's at the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, John the Baptist, and it's right. You thought it was about Jesus,
right?
But so John the Baptist is baptizing, and he baptized Christ in particular. But before he baptizes Christ, he has this line. He says, "I baptize you with water, He's talking about after me comes one who is greater than I'm not worthy to unstrap the thong of his sandal, sort of thing. Yeah. And he says, I baptize you with water, he will baptize you with the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And it's like, whoa, what does that
mean?
Right. Like, there's a distinction here that he's making that's biblical, right? Between baptism by water and baptism by the Spirit. And they're not necessarily one and the same. He's not saying, it's just the same thing, don't worry about it. No, he doesn't say that.
Right.
Like, I baptize by water, he baptizes by the Holy Spirit. And so there's, the first part of this Sunday, I want to work through that a little bit in terms of what that means, right? Yeah. It's like, Augustine, we were talking about Augustine using the language of the sacraments, whether baptism or communion, but they're external signs of an internal grace. Yeah. Right? The external sign is pointing to an internal grace that is conferred to the baptized, right? What else would you say? Other language that he uses, external sign, internal grace, visible symbol, internal action sort of thing, or internal change. Right. All this language of like what's visible is what we see is the sacrament. What's held out, offered to us is the Spirit. Right. Right? So the question though, right, is does a water baptism automatically mean you've been baptized by the Spirit? Just sit with it. It's like, so Roman Catholic teaching, 1500s, would say, right. Like, it works ex opere operato is the language that they used, right? Out of the operating of the operation. So just by doing the deed of baptism, it's automatically salvific, right? Is the teaching that it's effectual grace no matter what, no matter the state of the baptized. So that's problematic. That's right. But so Luther kind of picks up on this and he goes like, no, it's automatically valid, but he'll make a distinction between validity and efficacy, or what makes something valid and what makes it effective, what makes it actually do something. He'll say for a baptism to be valid, it's word and water, right? That's the baptism of John, word and water. It's automatically valid. You're baptized into the name of Christ. But what makes it effective? He would say the third thing is faith. Right. It's actually faith that, and baptism doesn't like automatically make you believe. Right. You can be resistant to it.
Which I think it's like, that's one of the main criticisms I think you hear from people that would like criticize us as Lutherans. Right. Why are there, you hear this question, I think from more like Baptist leaning folks where it's like, why is the world filled with so many baptized non-Christians?
Right. Yep.
And so therefore like why there should be some sort of conscious choice or right.
Right, so that's why some churches will lean towards believers' baptism, is what they call it, so they'll even rebaptize, like Anabaptist means rebaptize. They'll rebaptize those who are baptized as infants because they say in order for baptism to be effective, it has to be done after you believe. Right. And actually, they would say regardless, even like it's a Zwinglian view of baptism. But they'd say Zwingli was a theologian in the 1500s who was along with Luther. He pulled Luther hated him, right? Luther was more actually in line with the Catholic Church. Leave me alone, stop, you're messing everything up. Anyway, so believer's baptism is the idea that baptism is actually an outward profession of faith of something that's already happened.
Wait. Say that again.
So believer's baptism is an outward profession of faith of something that's already taken place. Right. Like I've already come to faith and been saved, and baptism therefore is my public commitment or acknowledgement of what has happened. Right. Which I guess there could be something to that.
My great issue with that biblically is there's this really great like Old Testament like scholar that I like, and he talks about it. He always says like what you say of baptism to a certain degree, and I don't agree with him fully, but I do believe in the connection between Old Testament circumcision and baptism.
Oh yeah.
The entrance.
It's the sign of a covenant.
Yeah, and Abraham. When God tells Abraham to circumcise his household, he circumcises the whole male household, including his servants, who were most likely pagans. Right. They weren't believers. They didn't have the oracle of God, the word of God within them. Right. it's the sign of a covenant in the Old Testament.
Right.
And when you see like the early Christian debates about circumcision, right? About like, do we require the Gentiles to go through this?
Oh, thank God, no.
Thank the Lord Jesus Christ. No, right? But there always seems to be this discussion of baptism that fits around that too.
Yeah.
And it's like I see the strong connection between the two.
Yeah,
Not that they are the same, not that baptism and circumcision are the same in the Old and New Testament in a sense.
John Calvin actually picked up on this. He called them that they were the covenantal signs. That the old covenant sign was circumcision, the new covenant sign is baptism. But you're right; they're not the same exactly.
Right.
But nonetheless, there is a parallel.
Yeah.
In terms of so for Abraham, you got to think about it. He believed prior to circumcision, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I think Baptists will pick up on with truthfulness.
Right.
It's belief first, sign of the covenant after.
Right.
But the sign of the covenant was given to Abraham, and it was given to those after him as they were circumcised as infants, right? And so like there was no question of whether they believed or not.
Right.
However, the sign gave them something to believe.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, I think there's veracity in the sense that like if someone's like 25 years old, let's say, they haven't been raised in a Christian home, and they don't believe, you just be and it's like, okay, would we baptize that person? No. Like just baptize them? No. That's not how it works, right?
Right.
But do we baptize those who are being raised in the faith by their parents? Yes, because baptism gives them something to believe in, right? Now, if someone 25 said like, I kind of believe, help my unbelief, that sort of statement.
Yeah.
That's a statement of faith, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's fine. You get baptized.
Yeah.
Like that's sufficient.
Right.
It's not like I kind of believe, and then baptism gives you something to sink the teeth of your faith into, right?
Yeah.
And so Luther had this saying that. Sorry, wait, I'm not Baptist.
Sorry.
But he said this saying that baptism exists for the sake of faith, not faith for the sake of baptism. Right? The baptism, being baptized is a promise. The natural response to which the natural response is faith. Right? That God has claimed you as His own.
Yeah.
He is providential. He is your protector, provider, providential. All these things over your life, right? That He's promised to you. And if you don't believe it, it does you no good. Right? You might be baptized. That promise is guaranteed to you in your baptism.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of promises that people make to us, but we never benefit from them because we don't believe them.
Right.
And so the promise, in order to be efficacious, in order for it to make an actual change in our life, to shift our orientation towards things, has to be believed. And so that's the difference, right, between like water baptism of John with water, baptism of Christ by the Spirit. That He baptizes with water. He's doing the external sign. And if you believe what the sign is telling you, right? Because He's also the baptizer of Jesus.
Right.
And so you see in the passage right after this what happens. Jesus is open to what is being promised to Him in His baptism, you could say. Right? And what is being promised to Him is, it says, "You are my beloved Son." The Spirit is the love of God, right? Is filling Him in that moment. And so we can see it as like that's the place in which we stand in our baptism. But if we don't believe, it's like, I'll have an illustration this Sunday that I'll try to use.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it. I might actually, here's what I'm kind of toying with, is having one of you come up front to help me with it, because I think it needs another participant. It's not just a one-person thing.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but there's a way to illustrate, but there are all sorts of things that, the biblical example would be the parable of the sower, right?
Yeah.
The seed is the word of God. Sacraments are visible words from God, right? And it falls on different kinds of soil. That doesn't invalidate the seed at all. But it does produce different results. There's hard soil into which the seed never sinks, which means there's baptism on a hard heart. Just lays dormant.
Right.
That doesn't invalidate the baptism, but anyway, there are all sorts of different kinds of soil and ways to think about this stuff.
Yeah, very much. That's the preview for this Sunday.
Yeah, so it's baptism.
That's just Mark 1.
Baptism by water, baptism by Spirit, and then we'll look at the baptism of Jesus being actually indicative of what our baptism by the Spirit looks like.
Okay.
Because Pentecostals, steal the language of baptism by the Holy Spirit.
Right.
They mean something by that we don't mean. That I don't actually think is even biblical, right?
Right.
Is that you have to have this certain experience where you speak in tongues and
Yeah.
have an ecstatic experience.
Man.
Which is a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
And even when Paul says, like, do all speak in tongues? He's like, do all prophesy? Do all speak in tongues? Do all do this? And it's a rhetorical question.
Right.
Right? The Pentecostals are like, yes, they do. And Paul's like, no, they don't actually. Not everyone speaks in tongues.
No.
Anyway. So they mean that by baptism by the Spirit, this ecstatic experience. Because I think what baptism by the Spirit means is precisely what comes after that, which is the baptism of Jesus, where Jesus is identified. And so it's a bestowal of an identity. Is what baptism by the Spirit is. And if you think about that, makes sense. The Spirit descends on Jesus, and that declares his sonship. Right? You are my beloved Son. That he is loved. He's the loved Son of the Father. And that's what baptism by the Spirit is for us too. That it becomes our identity.
For sure.
When we believe the promises, it actually becomes an identity mark for us. Our deepest identity is that we are someone who is loved by the Father. Right. And that shapes everything.
And it shapes everything. But you can deny that identity.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
yeah. And what I think is the basis of a Christian form of unbelief is to deny the identity you've been given. Yeah. Right. Is to live and act in ways that act like as if it's untrue. Right. What God has said over you. Right. About himself and about you, and it's to say like, I don't believe that. Right. Which is not.
Which I mean, even it's like not just like Christian, but it's like it is. And like it's sin in and of itself is like your day. Like when you don't believe what is said about you by God and who God is, like that is what you could almost say like that's what motivates that which is sin. So
Right. Sin is always believing lies instead of the truth.
Right. It really is. Like
this will make you happy. Really?
No. Right. This will
solve your problem. Really?
No.
I'm not so sure about that when I think honestly about it.
Right.
Sorry. This is a long passage, but so baptism by the Spirit. But then immediately, I think what's fascinating, and this is where our passage kind of ends with, is Jesus baptized, and it literally says, immediately the Spirit drives him into the wilderness to be tempted by Satan for 40 days.
Yeah. Right.
So, and
it's a fun one.
So, what's interesting to me is if you read the fuller accounts of the temptation from Matthew in particular really expounds on it. And the temptations are all rooted in identity questions.
Yeah.
I love it. Right? So baptism is a God the Father saying,
truly are.
This is your identity, you're my beloved Son. And he says, if you are the Son of God, and then he gives a misconstrual of what it means to be the Son of God. Right? Yeah. It's always lies about what it means to be a son, or you could say for women, a daughter of God.
Yeah.
That's the basic temptation, is to deny your God-given identity.
Yeah.
And there are different ways to do that, right? Turn stones into bread. So it's like a life oriented towards material pleasure or bodily pleasure. That's a denial of your God-given identity, right? Bow down and worship me, and I'll give you power and prestige, right? A life built on the pursuit of power and prestige is a denial of your God-given identity, right? And what was the last one? Oh, throw yourself off the temple. And it's the temple is the place of God's presence, is essentially saying, separate yourself from God's presence and see whether he'll save you anyway. Right? Be absolutely disobedient to him, be reckless, and see, not only forgiving, but he'll save you anyway. And that's not trusting God, that's testing God. And that's kind of the difference, right? A child of God trusts the Father. A child of the devil, someone who listens to his lies, wants to test God. Right.
Anyway. The testing is always, I heard someone, I never thought about this always trips me up, but the testing account, right? There's only from one mouth we could have ever gotten that story.
From Jesus himself, right?
From Jesus himself.
Yeah.
Like, there's only one person that would have told the original story of that. Like, there were no witnesses.
That's a great
to be around it. And it was, the only person you have to trust on that one is Christ himself, because it's just him and the devil, which is, like, I never realized that.
No, I didn't think about that.
Whoa, that's pretty cool, because, like, mostly every other story you could, like, make a case, like, oh, they observed that, they saw that, the eyewitness account, something like that, and, so, sound is garbled. sound is garbled. That's fine. We've already hit 8. That's crazy. That went by really quick.
For us.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder if it is garbled for other folks. I turned it down the levels a little bit, Nanook.
Yeah. Are we going through this mic?
We are going through Nanook's mic, actually. It is your mic. It wouldn't be Nanook's fault at all for those of you watching. It would be totally mine. Man, I was bragging before this.
You
I was
were.
like, last one, I think
You got cocky.
Checklist everything off. Like, it's all going to work.
Yeah, for once, final Thursday Night Live, and we nailed the technicality. No, we didn't.
Or maybe it's just on Nanook's end. I hope so. Sorry, Nanook.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's exciting. So is testing is going to come up or is that's
this week too?
That's this week both. Oh wow.
Yeah, and I think so that's the passage, and I think the testing is. Yeah, you can't separate it from the baptism, because if you say if this is your identity, that identity is going to be tested, right? It's there's going to be.
Does he? So after the testing, is that when does he show up in Nazareth then in the synagogue and read there?
So right after that, that's Luke. Where he opens the scroll. But so at that point, it says that John is thrown in prison, and Jesus comes out. He comes like onto the scene, preaching the kingdom of God. The time is fulfilled. The kingdom of God is at hand. Which that phrase. So you'll hear if you come to worship this Sunday. Our Old Testament reading is Jeremiah.
Oh yeah.
It's Jeremiah 31, where it says, "The days are surely coming when I will make a new covenant."
Right.
And what gets a little bit lost because we're splitting up the first part of Mark. But right after Jesus is baptized, so that's a refrain throughout the prophets, right? Yeah. The days are surely coming. The days are surely coming. It's like this constant refrain.
Right.
And then you get to Mark, and the first thing Jesus says, "The time is fulfilled."
Yeah.
And it's like, that's right. So like, yeah. I think I don't know how we hear that. I typically used to hear that as just like, I don't know what he's saying. I don't know. He's just saying like, I arrived. Like, but he's just saying like fulfillment of everything that God had said through the prophets, right?
Yeah.
We're still garbled.
I guess he said it's happening gradually, so maybe, I don't know, maybe it's something with the stream. We're getting all robotic, robo-mic.
And then it says has to be the network or something like that.
Yes, the stream. But your voices are garbled. Nancy Priest on YouTube is letting us know too. Yeah, we're sorry about that. I don't know exactly. There's a podcast I watch that live streams. Yeah, and there's one guy in particular where this happens to all the time. I think I know exactly what it is. It's like robo-mic kind of garbly. And he always like, I don't know what it is. I have the best mic in the market. And I'm gonna. No, it's not just you. We're getting someone else picking up as well. Yeah. So we're sorry about that, folks. I don't think it's hardware. It's most likely it's probably the stream itself, the network. Yeah. Good old CLC internet.
That's right.
We're not on Wi-Fi, so I'm hardwired and everything. Not trying.
Yeah.
Could speed test it real quick. But Mark is fun, everyone.
Yeah.
If you can hear us and it not be too crazy.
Let's see. Speed test. That sounds fun.
See that? Oh. That's why. Yeah.
That's our internet speed.
Yeah, we should be running at like.
That's pretty bad.
Typically, yeah, we should be like 90 right now for our internet. I mean, this should be all right. I mean,
although it keeps shooting
the
down.
upload speed is really what's gonna affect. It's
our
not great, so.
Sorry, guys.
I'm sorry about that. Yikes, that isn't great. Yeah, well, maybe I guess we've hit the hour. We've lost some people too. So.
Go out with a bang.
There you go, folks. Oh my gosh.
Get forward to that podcast, huh? So, yeah.
Well, we'll have to boost the internet.
That's right. Oh yeah, we do. We do need to boost the internet. This is good.
All right.
I think we're boosting the internet in our home.
Only last 5 minutes or so. So I think something. Okay. Yeah, I think that's
something happened.
Yep. I think there was something with network.
Lovely.
All right. Well, we should wrap it then. I guess they can't hear us right now because I'm not gonna.
A chapter comes to an end.
Yes.
Inglorious end.
Yeah. So there you go. Thursday Night Live comes to an end.
Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe it kicked up right now for you guys.
Yeah.
Probably needs a reboot, but don't do it in the middle of a show.
Yeah.
Look, we need you here with us from producer. If you can't hear us, I guess I should have said this in the beginning. It would have been nice. Our man behind the camera, the one who is there all around, Bill. I was gonna try and have him here for our last one, but he's in Arcadia, Michigan. That's where he's
following in your footsteps.
Yeah, he's a digital media for the whole summer in Arcadia. So it's a Lutheran camp in Northwest Michigan. Go follow it on Facebook. You'll be able to see what Will's doing all summer.
I gotta do that.
And if you are interested in that in your family, or not even a family, anybody, check out Camp Arcadia. Yeah, you would be. I guess Northwest Michigan, most folks don't think of that as a great vacation.
It's beautiful.
It is. Yeah. It's a hidden little gem. I mean, Minnesota is the same way, I think, too. Like the land of the lakes. But Michigan, Northwest Michigan, Camp Arcadia, it's right on Lake Michigan. Like you're right in, like where you stay in the cabins, you're right on the beach. Yeah, and it's a 1920s vibe.
Where do you find it? Would you find it into Detroit? Did you go out there?
You would, you could fly into Traverse City or Grand Rapids.
Yeah, okay.
If you fly into Grand Rapids, it's probably going to be cheaper. The cheapest would be to fly into Detroit. The cheapest would be to fly in O'Hare and then drive up 6 hours.
So 6 hours, okay.
Yeah, or you fly into Detroit, rent a car, 4 hours.
Okay.
Or these are the tiers of cheapness. And then Grand Rapids would be the next, and that's only about 2 hours away. Okay. Traverse City is about 40 minutes.
Okay.
You could fly in any of those areas. But it's a phenomenal place, and there's great edifying. Because it's a week of formation, but it's also a vacation. It's a vacation
that's formative.
It's awesome. The kids would love it. I didn't go to Disney World as a kid. Like
you're talking about Arcadia.
Yeah, because like my parents would be like, you guys want to go to Florida this year? I'm like, no, we want to go to Arcadia. There's no question. It is the best. It is, to me, it's like heaven on earth, or the closest to it.
Thin space. Yeah,
the Gaelics or whatever when they say that.
Or Celtic spirit.
Yeah, the Celtics. It's a thin space for sure. It's just, I can't wait to be there in this summer. So
yeah.
But Will is there, and so a big thank you to him for Thursday Night Live. He was here. He hasn't been here the past 2, I think, just because he had work. But those weeklies and everything. The guy behind there. So
Steven's not going to give himself credit, but he set everything up. So
and it fails every week, so I don't want credit. I wish Will was here. Be like, Will's. No, I would never. It's always mine. So.
Or we've had fun.
Or it's just it's been fun. It's been a good time.
Yeah.
Maybe we can cut together some funny moments of this and have a recap. But
the truth of the matter is, usually I don't know if any of this is garbled. Steve and I usually hang out in the parking lot for like an hour after this.
Yeah. We'll probably talk about Mark more.
Yeah.
Or Augustine.
Right. Yeah. So
just get right.
Maybe we'll start a group out of that.
Yeah. I don't know. That'd be fun.
That'd be a good thing.
Cool.
So, all
right. Well, hey, thank you everybody. For hanging with us. We apologize that we had some garbled sound, but hey, blessings to you all.
Thank you all.